How's it hanging, dudes? Dudettes? Alright, so a little bit of gravy, you know what I'm saying? A little bit of like, a little bit of gravy in the comment section. I love you guys. But we got to talk about Mr. Cenk Uygur. Now, as a former state director of Wolfpack, I have to say, stuff like this is the reason why I left TYT. I was never paid by TYT or anything like that. Maybe I'll make a video about that one day, but this is the type of divisiveness, because whenever I joined the Young Turks, joined Wolfpack, I thought we were fighting for the right thing. You know what I mean? I thought we were getting money out of politics, right? And that's what Wolfpack is, and I don't want to take that away from them. They're actually fighting for that. But the bias is rooted. You know, the bias is rooted in. So even if they get to a convention, are they going to be able to hear, you know, include the right? You know what I mean? And because we're all Americans, and if you have a constitutional convention, you know, you owe it to everybody to do the right thing by everybody, except for the corrupt oligarchs and politicians, right? So that's would be the point of a convention. So nevertheless, Cenk Uygur beg for their handout. Cenk Uygur wishes Democratic president to cut off funding to red states. And this is the type of thing that leads me to believe that while the cause is just, the implementation is very skewed. And this is the reason why Cenk Uygur, I feel, didn't win whenever he ran for Congress in the local level and California. But and that's just, you know, I mean, you get what I'm trying to say. So let's go ahead and read the story and get into it. I don't want to ramble for too long. But yeah, big for their handout. Red states, you know, it already rubs you the wrong way. Let's go ahead and read his tweet first. It says, if we had a Democrat with balls when we take over, they'd cut off funding to red states and make them beg for their handout. Almost all of them are welfare queens who live off of the blue states. Republican-run states are on average miserable failures who take more from the federal government. Okay, first off, you're going to punish the people for the policies of the government. What about what about California? Won't you look in your own backyard? I mean, it's a failed. The city is a failed place. They have what miles long of homeless people just camped out there. They can't fix their own problems. So whenever you start ragging on red states and you have problems in your own backyard, which everybody does, it doesn't make you look good. It makes you look divisive. And whenever you're on your show, Cenk, and you're talking about you know, fixing the problems and solving the solutions, you know, taking out on the poor in red states isn't the problem, and that's the same thing you rag on Republicans for, right? That's one of the reasons why you left the Republican Party. So, you know, save me that kind of stuff. If you're American first, you're American first, you know, and your brothers and sisters who are conservative, you don't turn your back on them because you disagree with them politically and you make them beg on their knees for a handout. Who are you? What kind of person are you? Do you think that your ideas are so superior that you look down upon somebody like that? It's like a new form of bigotry, a new form of racism almost. You know, it makes no sense. And that's the reason why my channel grew so big with Andrew Yang, is because I provided a home for conservatives. I made sure right off the bat people knew that I was a conservative, that I, you know, had conservative leanings, even though, you know, I was fighting for the progressive cause of UBI. You know, it's a bridge the gap. You know what I mean? Two people with different ideas can come together and be friends, and not only be friends, but discuss their ideas and fight together to fix things that they agree on. Things that they don't agree on, they don't even have to discuss. You know what I mean? So it's like the disconnect with him is astonishing, and the wedge just drives deeper as the years go on. So let's go ahead and read this. A left-wing media personality, Cenk Uygur, said he wished a Democrat was running the country so Republicans would be forced to beg for their handouts. Young Turks co-host Cenk Uygur lashed out in a reply to a tweet by President Trump stating that Republican-run states are miserable failures, that he wished a Democrat were president. The U.S. citizens and GOP-controlled states would be forced to beg for economic relief. If we had a Democrat with balls when we take over, they'd cut off funding to red states and make them beg for their handout. Uygur tweeted, most of them are welfare queens who live off blue states. Republican-run states are on average miserable failures who take more from federal government. So first off, he's not taking into consideration that the population difference, when you have a bunch of rural areas, rural states with only a couple of major cities, you're going to tend to have a higher a higher line of poverty because there's less work, there's less opportunity. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing he says for low income families in the cities. You know, it's the crime is so oh my goodness, the crime is so incessant, and there's no opportunity, and everything's so systemic that you can't really get a leg up. So the fact that it's such a disconnect that he can't see, and never mind the fact that you don't punish people for the ideas of their politicians. You know what I mean? So especially when he knows that a lot of these states are gerrymandered for Republicans to be in control. So the fact that he would take it out on the citizens when it's not really their fault, and a lot of them actually may even vote blue, but due to gerrymandering, the districts all come out with Republican strongholds and they come out on top, right? Not to mention the Trump wave that came through with some of these Republicans in these rural states, and on the fact that some of these people are actually naturally conservative. It's the whole thing is a farce, and his whole shtick is just a farce. He doesn't understand, and he knows that these places are gerrymandered. That it's not the people's fault that the Republicans are in power. It's not like they constantly overwhelmingly vote Republican, on a national scale. It's because a lot of these, counties their districts are gerrymandered to where it only Republican controlled place. It's, you guys know what gerrymandering is. I don't have to, or you guys know what I'm saying. So let's continue before I it just makes me so mad, man. Just why take it out on the people? Anyways, in his original tweet, Trump admonished states who have adopted high taxes and sanctuary cities, suggesting they look within instead of to the federal government to address expanding fiscal issues. Trump has been critical on states such as California who have borrowed $348 million from the federal government on Monday to address spiraling unemployment backlogs. Oh, so seems like California is begging for a handout. Cenk, maybe we should cut you off. Yeah, it doesn't seem so nice to say, does it? There's plenty of innocent people there who's just trying to get by, and you're using your ideas to pretty much ruin people's lives if you had your way. So last year, Uygur ran for Congress in the district of disgraced former Democratic California Republican Katie Hill. He won only 6.6% of the vote, finishing 4th place out of 12. So, and this kind of stuff is the reason why. I don't know if he's just doing it for outrage and fame. Because the Young Turks their numbers have just been declining over the years since Dave Rubin and Jimmy Dore left, and rightfully so, because Cenk Uygur, they pad themselves in a extreme liberal bubble, and anything that doesn't conform to their reality, all of a sudden it doesn't exist, or they attack it with such veracity like this. So Cenk, dude, even if Wolfpack does succeed, it's going to not look very good for the convention, because you guys, if you have any sort of say, then the bias is going to be so deep rooted that it's not even going to be worth the effort. So I don't know, man. I do think a constitutional convention is the route. I just think that with leaders like Uygur at the helm of Wolfpack, it's just. It is what it is, guys. So I love you. I will have another one coming up, and I catch you guys in the next one.